Well, it's been about 2 weeks since we had our freeze, and the temperatures have warmed up dramatically. This week, we are pretty close to 80 every day, so that's about 25, 26 degrees Celsius. And now that we've warmed up for a while, the damage on the palms is definitely showing. So when I unwrap most of these palms, they look decent. Some of them I could tell that the fronds were damaged. They kind of get a freeze-dried look, and some um, looked terrible. Like this one, it looked terrible as soon as I unwrapped it. But over the course of the last 2 weeks, what was once green is now turning yellow. So obviously all of the soft things like elephant ears, colocasias, bananas, things like that took a big hit. But try and make this a brief video here just to kind of show you how things are looking. They're looking bad. I think that's what I can say. However, with the warmth that we've had, I'm seeing a lot of growth on things. So this Livistona, it's a hybrid one. You can see the new green growth, and no spear has been moving. So my queen palms, I had 4. This one was the biggest. I think it's the biggest. It's definitely the fastest growing, and it actually looked pretty good when I unwrapped it. But over the last week, all of this has turned to straw. This was all green. More like the tips seemed like they were damaged, but further down it looked okay at the time, but as you can see, it's not okay. However, we got some good green growth coming out of this queen palm. Trachycarpus and needle palms were unprotected and did fine. So citrus, here's a good example. This one actually looked good when I unwrapped it. This is a Satsuma. The other ones looked worse, but you can see the leaves are starting to go. Now, citrus will defoliate in a cold event. As long as the stems remain green, you're okay. They should leaf back out. The big rice in this is toast, which is fine because I wanted to take them out. Some of these are deciduous plants. Washingtonia robustas, you can see they took quite a bit of damage. These leaves were bronzed off right away, but the center still remained green. And look at this, pushing new growth. Can you believe that? Yuccas did well. Here's another queen palm. Look at this, Barbados cherry. Not hardy. We'll see if it survives, but this queen palm here is pushing a lot of new green growth as well. And same thing, all yellow. Small Trachycarpus fine. That agave is not a particularly hardy one, and because of that, it suffered. Oleander. Now, these aren't dead. You can actually see some green, but they definitely got singed. So these, you have to realize that most of my plants are 6 months in the ground, some a little bit more, some a little bit less. So nothing in my garden is established. The loquat did quite well. This other oleander here, and the Duranta. A lot of the things I grow supposedly will come back from the roots, so the more tropical things, so we will see. This is my Santa Catarina queen, which is, a lot of people say is the hardiest queen. Now this one I did protect, but it was a smaller palm. If it was as big as the other ones, it would have been interesting to see how it had fared, but I'm still seeing green down there. It does seem like it's moving. But we'll see. Another sad Washingtonia palm. So what am I going to do for my palms? Well, I'm going to leave them. So what I've done right now is the first dry day after the event, I came in and I just hit the, where the new frond is coming out, the new spear, kind of the crown of the palm. I just spray that with just a copper fungicide. And it's been 2 weeks. I'm going to repeat that again, and then I'll judge from there. I've not had problems with toxicity with the copper fungicide, so I just spray it as needed. Some people will spray the whole thing, the whole palm, even the ground. I can't say if that's more effective or not, but in the case of these fronds, nothing's bringing them back. But these things are moving. That was almost closed. So the big winners are the yuccas. Even my agave americana got damaged. Butia crossjubea looks perfect. I mean, I guess maybe right here, there's a little bit. Tough palm. That thing's going to get better with time. The big shock to me, real disappointment. Look at my Sable Riverside. I have another one. It's damaged as well. Not as bad. But look at this. So I planted it around May or June. So it has not established. This thing, especially with palms, like it takes them a little while to get established, get their roots in the ground. The more established they are, the hardier they are, and the bigger they are, the hardier they are. So this palm will do better with time. Speaking of hardy palms, Sable Palmetto Lisa, just those two older fronds, which were about 90% brown before the event. So really, nothing on that palm. Looks great. There's Yucca Rostrata. You can see the mangaves melted. These smaller ones here were pups that I pulled off, and they kind of recovered by the protection. The Alloy Ampelostritula, varying degrees. This one did a lot better. They're very root hardy. Let's look at the Bismarckia. I mean, it looks a little bit tattered. The tips are, this is, probably where it was more touching the tarp I had over. But in the middle, like right now, it's looking good. I'm not going to say this was a success. I mean, these are generally pretty cold hardy, down to about 25 degrees Fahrenheit, which is probably -4, something like that, Celsius. But right now, I mean, it's looking okay. So you can see the brown. Here's just kind of the overview, a lot of brown. So some of those are cannas and bananas, so they will come back probably real soon, actually. Over here, my Butias all did really well. Very well, actually. You can see there's just a little bit of browning there, but for the most part, that thing is looking great. My big Washingtonias are, these ones have done, I don't know if it's the soil here, but these ones have done really well. Look how much that thing has grown. It's amazing. Big one in the center, opening up a brand new frond. This one took the most damage. Look at these sad things. But it's coming back with a vengeance. So what would I do with a palm aside from doing some preventative copper fungicide? I won't trim the fronds. I know it looks unsightly and it's terrible, but you see this green? Palms store resources in their fronds. So even though there's only that little bit of green, that palm may pull those nutrients to help aid in recovery. You can see all around here it's quite green, but this one here, which was already going before the cold event, you can see it is completely brown. So that I would cut off. This I would not. The bottle brush, the callistemon back there, looked perfect after the cold, and now look at it, totally toast. Cycads were kind of hit and miss. They'll come back. They flushed for me 2 or 3 times last year. Other small Butias are just fine. Sable Urasana, fine. All this warm weather, seeing a lot of insects, a lot of butterflies, actually. Needle palms are fine. Here's a sago with a little bit more damage. This is a shadier spot. So not a big deal. Oh, here's an interesting one. So this is my Silver Queen. I'd say out of all the palms, this is the one that took the most damage. It's even looking worse than the other day. So look, I mean, there's no green left. And you can see that looks like fungus. I wouldn't be surprised if this spear pulls soon. But we're going to leave it. We're going to leave it for a month or so and see what it does. So we got real warm weather this week. Things are looking pretty good. So I should know within a month or two if that queen's doing okay. I brought out the garage squad. This is all my plants that I had in the garage that are waiting to be planted this year. I was disappointed I didn't get to plant a lot of these last year, and now it was actually kind of a blessing in disguise. So there is quite a few palms plants in here that are ready to go out. And we'll just go look at my real tropical section here. Everything in this garden aside from the red hot pokers got nuked. The bananas, these big ice cream bananas, you can still see there's green there. I need to get in here. I'm going to cut off these old leaves, and I'll cut the pseudostem back until I hit nice fresh live tissue. There's the red hot poker. And the other one that did well is Chamaedorea radicalis. So these are heliconia. Supposedly these ones are root hardy. So a lot of these plants in here are root hardy. I just got to give them some time. There's my orange bird of paradise, which looked flawless after the cold, and it took about a week for it to start really turn into what you're seeing here. But there's a lot of green down there. So that is the sad state of affairs. So I'm just going to cut down all this kind of like deciduous sort of stuff, soft, perennials. The Dianella took a real beating, but you can see that it's already grown. That actually wasn't showing before. So Dianella will come back. You just got to cut it. And a lot of these plants will too. So that's where we're at. My neighbor's big Washingtonia, which is a little more florifera leaning, has some minor cosmetic damage on the fronds. Those two CIDP, especially with the last couple of days, they're turning more and more brown, but there's still a lot of green. And then over here, my neighbor's sable palmettos look amazing. They actually look better than they did in the summertime. Let's just zoom in. It's because in the summer, they weren't getting as much water as they wanted. So that is the update. Now I got to go and clean everything up. Thanks for watching.